Hi, I'm welcoming you all to this video, and this is my testimony about how Global Ascension Network was started. In 1997, I was in an ascension with the Lord, and I was caught up into heaven into a beautiful, huge auditorium building. Outside of this building were standing two 10-story high angels, and they opened up this door, which on the covering of the door were the pictures facing one another of two warring lions, and their hands were up like this in a warring position. As the angels pulled on the hands and opened the door, I stepped into what looked or appeared to be a huge auditorium. When I did, there was this rice paper scroll that was rolled out underneath my foot, and I was invited by the angels to step out onto the scroll. When I did that, every place that I would put down my feet, there would be these gold letters that appeared running from left to right. At that time, I didn't realize it was Hebrew, but it was Hebrew. As I would lay down my feet on each of these letters, they began to be sucked up into my body, and they actually became a part of me. One of those was a letter whose interpretation, one amongst many, is the present imperative command to come up here and see. Anyway, I'm walking down this long scroll, and down towards the front on a stage, there was a blinking light. And this light was very, very dim, and it was like it was breathing. So it's expanding out like this, and it would go. But it was very dim. As I continued my journey down to the front, I saw that it was Yeshua, and he was sitting on the stage, and he had his head rested on his hand, his elbow rested on his knee, kind of in the form or the fashion of the sculpture well known as the Thinker. Anyway, as I walked down and I got closer, I saw that he was actually weeping tears of gold. And I looked at him. I was so stunned because I've only known him in the fullness of his radiant, blinding blue-white light. And to see him in the middle of this pulsating light that seemed dim to me at the time was a new experience for me. So I looked up to him and I said, Lord, what is this place? And he looked at me, and with all solemnity, he said, this is the place of my loneliness. And I looked at him and I said, Lord, you're King of Kings, Lord of Lords. The whole universe belongs to you and responds to you. How is it even conceivably possible that you would have a place called the place of your loneliness? And as he looked up, these tears of gold began to drip down his face. And he said, I'm lonely because my bride never comes here. When he said that, I felt an arrow pierce my heart. And I thought to myself, Lord, I cannot believe that the King of Kings would be lonely for his bride to come here. So I looked at him, and my response with weeping and tears was, okay, Lord, I will spend the rest of my life bringing people into the heavens to fill the place of your loneliness, that you'll be no longer lonely. It was immediately after that time that I was thrust into the nations. And since then, I've been to 140 nations of the earth. Wherever I go, I train people to come up into the heavens, to stand face to face with him, to receive divine downloads of wisdom, knowledge, understanding that can only come directly from him and from the seven spirits before the throne. Since that day, I've raised up multitudes and multitudes of people in the nations who will join together on a weekly basis to get caught up in the moment, in the twinkling of an eye, and carried away to heaven to follow the pattern that Jesus set before us in John chapter 5, when he said, I of my own self can do nothing, only that which I see my Father doing. I don't speak of my own self, but only that which I hear my Father saying. So by following that pattern, if Jesus Christ of his own self could do nothing except what he saw the Father doing, how do we think that we can produce anything of eternal value if we cannot see what the Father is doing? Since that first day that he took me to the place of his loneliness, I have determined in my heart that I would spend the rest of my life bringing people into the heavenly realms to see him face to face. When I returned from all of my travels in the nations, and the Lord said, now it's time to start something called Global Ascension Network, and to begin to form these networks to network together. And the word of the Lord was, network the networks so that my net works. So pretty much for the last 4 to 5 years, Shannon and I have been gathering people from around the earth to join what are called Global Ascension Groups. In these groups, they do a weekly corporate ascension. Many of our groups are multinational. Some of them, I believe, have at least 10 nations, even in a single group represented. The groups are quite small. We try not to limit them to 18 or under. But in every instance, every person that has joined Global Ascension Network has confessed and believes with all of their heart that they have changed more in the last few years than they have in the last 25 to 30 years, or however long it has been that they've been serving the Lord. When you're standing face to face with Jesus Christ, and you're looking into his eyes, and you're feeling his breath upon your cheek, you're listening to his whispers in your ear, it shifts and changes and rearranges everything about you, including your level of functionability. The more that you ascend and descend from the heavenly realms, the greater the measure of rule that you will gain. I really want to encourage you all to join a corporate ascension group. For 1 year, I studied the doors and the windows of heaven, and I found that there was one door that was mentioned more than any other door, and that's called the door of the tabernacle, or the dwelling place of the congregation. This particular door is mentioned hundreds of times in Scripture, and it is through that door that we can receive the divine download of greater levels of mystery than we can even in our own personal ascensions. His promise is he's going to take us to places we've never been before. He's going to show us things we've never seen before. He's going to tell us things that we've never heard before, that he's going to teach us and lead us and guide us and direct us so that we can fulfill our divine purpose for which we were created, to be co-workers and co-creators together with him for the establishment of his kingdom and his righteousness in all of the earth. This was the purpose behind the establishment of Global Ascension, and it remains our purpose today. Today, I can truly say he is no longer in a place where his light is like pulsating dimly. In fact, even on that day when I agreed to spend the rest of my life bringing people into the heavenly realms, he jumped off of that platform, grabbed me, and began to dance me around this huge auditorium. And when it was the divine dance was done, he looked into my eyes and began to weep again. And he said, finally. He is so thankful for each and every one of you and your participation in coming to relieve him from the place of his loneliness, that his people would come into that place specifically to bring joy to his heart. Hi, I'm Nancy. I just want to thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed what you heard, like and subscribe our YouTube channel. And if you're interested in lengthy, deeper teachings concerning the mysteries of God, contact us at sons.global and partner with us as we become co-workers and co-creators together with God for the establishment of His kingdom and His righteousness in all the earth.